right, welcome back to Testimony Tuesday. It's been a while since we've done one of these, but it's a fun thing that we do where we bring on a member of the community who wants to share their story, how God has saved them, the things that God is doing in their life. And today, we're going to hear from a longtime member of the community, a guy I have a real good relationship with. We talk a lot in DMs and feel very kind of on the same wavelength on a lot of things. But his name is MountainMovingJoe. And so I don't know, what all we're going to hear today. And just kind of like always, this is going to be a live one, not a pre-recorded one. So, I'll maybe ask some questions and stuff too. But for the most part, I'm going to be as quiet as I can. And I'm going to listen and just so excited to hear another story. If you would ever like to tell your story, I'd love to hear it. Just send me a message, reach out to me, let me know, and we can get you scheduled for a Tuesday. There's not like a super official way to sign up. But just as long as you're a Christian, that's like the only prerequisite. And I'd love to hear your story. So here we go. Let me switch scenes and we'll get into today's testimony. This is my friend Mountain Moving Joe. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome on. And I'm going to give you the floor and I'd love to hear your story, and I may, interject a little bit here and there and ask some questions and whatever, but just share as much as you'd like, what God has done in your life, what he's doing in your life, where you're at now, all those kind of things. There's no real time limit, so the floor is yours, my friend.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, and it's something that's been on my heart for a while to kind of share with you, and one of the last times you're like, we haven't had one, the Lord's like, well, go give yours. So I'm like, all right. Nothing super extraordinary, but a testimony altogether. So when I was younger, I never knew my real dad. He took off on my mom when I was young. I don't have any real memories of him. I think I have one picture of him, but I never knew him. If anybody doesn't know, one of the biggest, I guess you'd say, plagues or problems in our country right now is fatherlessness. And God provided me with a great stepfather immediately. So I never personally felt that void of not having a dad. It still weighed on me in a lot in my life.
Yeah.
My stepfather stepped in, took care of me like I was his own son, coached all my teams, and he was my dad. He was my dad. He is my dad. But it still leaves if you're not good enough for your own father, you wouldn't be good enough for anybody else. And it was something that I wrestled with my whole life. It actually to the point where I tried to please my stepfather out of a subconscious fear that he would leave too.
Oh, wow.
And he never would. We're very close. He was actually the best man at my wedding.
Wow.
He was a great man. But growing up, I did all I could to impress him. We loved sports. So I got into sports, loving sports. And the one thing growing up, though, is he hated cartoons. Unless they were the classic Looney Tunes, he wanted nothing to do with cartoons. And I grew up in the Pokemon phase, the Yu-Gi-Oh phase, Digimon, all that stuff. That was my stuff growing up. And he hated them. So, he would still let me watch them, but if he came in the room, he's like, shut them off, let's put something else on. And so what he let me watch was a lot of animal documentaries. For some reason, he would let me watch those. And so I grew up loving animals, loving nature, loving creation, and just loving everything about animals. But the one good thing I remember about him when I was younger, he was the one who always brought us to church. We lived a very carnally life growing up, but he still tried his best. He did the best he could with what he knew. He was very Catholic growing up, so he brought a lot of his Catholic traditions into we're now non-denominational, but he brought a lot of the Catholic. I mean, he still calls. He's been coming to our church for 20-something years, and he still calls Sunday service mass. Not service. So, but I do remember always waking up on Saturday morning, because every kid's like, oh, Saturday morning I'm going to run, go watch cartoons. And I always wake up early to go out in the living room, because, whoever got TV first got dibs.
Mm-hmm.
But he was always in the living room reading his Bible.
Wow.
And the rule was no TV until he was done reading the Bible. Because he didn't want to be distracted.
Yeah.
And so that was something that, even though he was very carnal, kind of had his issues when I was growing up, that is still something when I was younger that always stuck with me, is that he always made time for the Word. I remember we would be driving places, and he would be muttering under his breath, and I'd be like, yeah, did you say something? Do you need something? He's like, oh, no, I'm just praying.
Wow.
Like, oh, okay. But I didn't know any better. But him getting me to kind of watch the animal shows, I grew up loving animals, loving everything about animals, anything about them. I grew up in the heyday of the crocodile hunter.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was my hero when I was a kid. He's like one of the few celebrities, when he died, I actually cried.
Oh.
Because, like, it was heartbreaking, because he was like my hero. But, I had grandfathers who hunted, and because I loved animals and I couldn't see past you're killing an animal, I hated it. And I remember I think it was a Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner, me and my grandfather, we didn't get in a fight, but we got in like a little argument about why I thought hunting was wrong. And I thought it was evil, and I thought it was all this stuff. And it was just after Christmas one year, I had some gift cards to Walmart. I was going through Walmart, and I saw a hunting game, and I was like, Mom, can I get that game? And she's like, it's a hunting game. You hate hunting. And I'm like, yeah, but I kind of want that game. And she's like, I mean, I guess so. It's your money. Go get what you want. So I got it, and started loving the game, and then all of a sudden, like, this passion for hunting came out of nowhere. Just this love and desire to be out in the woods. It just came out of nowhere. And my, the same grandfather who I had argued with, and this was like, within like a year period. Like, it wasn't like years down the road. This was like within a year period of like, I went to him and I'm like, hey, will you teach me how to hunt? And he's like, yeah, you gotta go to hunter safety course.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can do that and you can pass, I'll buy you your first gun and I'll take you hunting.
Okay.
And I'm like, all right. I did my part. He did his part. And like, it actually started becoming that like, everything I did was just hunting oriented, hunting or fishing. Like, just it consumed me. Like, that's all I ever wanted to do.
Yeah.
And to the point where I actually went to school for wildlife conservation. And this whole time, I claimed to be a Christian, was living very carnally, but I still had Christian beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And try going into environmental science and being a Christian, where they're going to want to shove evolution and all that down your throat.
Right.
Unfortunately, like, wildlife is like, it's like a lot of things. It's a useless degree for jobs that don't exist.
Yeah.
Unless you want to be a game warden.
Right.
But I'm like, if I wanted to be a game warden, then I'm working when I want to be hunting.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really not a lot, or be working in a zoo or whatever. But I ended up getting a job in Texas working on a hunting ranch as a guide.
Oh, cool.
I lived about an hour and a half south of San Antonio in a little town called Tilden. And I was living the highlight. Like, I was living my dream job. I got to see I live up in Massachusetts. We don't have you guys Texas-style deer up here.
No whitetail running around, all that.
We have plenty of deer, but we don't have, like, the big antlers. And I took for granted that I got to see on a daily basis on the ranch deer that people up here will go their whole lives and never see once.
Wow.
And I was loving it. The first one started as an internship. I went over to another ranch, got hired on as a lead ranch hand, and it was just the best life. The funny thing is though, like at that time, the Lord was really starting to get at me.
Mm-hmm.
When I was really getting into it, the show Duck Dynasty was popular.
Oh yeah.
It was one of my favorite things, and if anybody's never listened to it, if you listen to or read up on Phil Robinson's testimony, it is just life-changing.
Yeah, it's powerful. Did you see The Blind?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it's really good.
Such a good movie.
Yeah, it's good.
And I read his autobiography,
Mm-hmm.
and it started changing me to want to walk closer to God.
Wow.
And I started pulling, and they actually, in their hype, they kind of had Duck Dynasty everywhere. Like, they had anything. But I actually found they had a Duck Dynasty Bible.
Huh.
And so I bought it. I brought it home, and I was reading it, and it was good. But I, was starting to read the Bible more. I was starting to... I know he's not the greatest, and now I know that I got the discernment, but back then... And it's because my parents listened to Joel Osteen a lot when I was younger. But it was something.
Yeah.
But at the time, he had a Sirius XM channel.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to go to bed listening to his channel. Or I had, an audio Bible, but it has a bunch of, famous actors doing all the different roles.
That's cool.
It had, James Earl Jones as the voice of God, and then it had, the guy who plays Lieutenant Dan. He was David.
Oh, yeah.
They got celebrities playing all these different roles. And I used to play that going to bed.
Wow.
And so I was listening to the word, and I didn't understand that it was increasing my life and changing me. And it was funny, I could feel myself changing to, things that the world thought was appealing, things that people thought were appealing, my friends thought were appealing. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that either. I don't want to do that either.
Right.
I never was into the clubbing or the partying or anything like that. And so I could really feel it. And I can remember, one day on the ranch, it was about 900 something acres. It was high fence. So we'd have to go along the perimeter. Mm-hmm. And I had snares set up to catch any raccoons or anything trying to get in on the ranch. Because we had deer that were worth, anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000, $40,000, $50,000.
Oh, my goodness.
So we were doing all we could to protect them.
Yeah.
So I would do that. And I can remember I was blasting I Can Only Imagine while I was checking the perimeter. And I had it on repeat. And I had never felt the Holy Spirit before, but that was the first time, I felt it, and I instantly started crying. And I'm like, this is great. This is awesome. And I worked with a lot of people down there that they claim to be Christians too. Mm-hmm. I think at least southern Texas, and you might build the answer a little bit, but it feels like it's a very heavy Catholic area.
Southern Texas, yeah, because you're down south of San Antonio. Yeah, there's a lot of Catholic influence there.
And so there are a lot of, and there's nothing wrong with Catholics, but they got that a lot of very religious, but then they can be very worldly, and then they go to a little box, and then they're okay. Absolve
it all. Go do it again.
Yeah. And so, I had the same people, and I was always against anything like this, but they were very into strip clubs.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, and they were trying to talk me into it, and I'm like, no, that's not who I am. And I remember telling one, and it was just, again, it was that, kind of that, when a father leaves, it's almost like you're always trying to please, you become a people pleaser.
Yeah.
And so it was I don't want to go, but I told a guy, and I'm like, if you pay, I'll go.
Yeah.
And we were gonna go. That weekend, I went to the hospital. Before we even got there.
Yeah.
I had never gone. But before we got there, I'd gotten really sick. I ended up getting what was called diverticulitis.
Oh, yeah.
If anybody doesn't know, it's your colon creates little pockets. It's got ridges, and it's got, make everything process, but mine creates pockets. And one of those pockets had food in it, and it burst.
Oh.
It created an infection on the whole bottom of my stomach. To the point where, like, if I hadn't gone to the hospital, I could have died from poison.
Yeah, become septic and all that. Yeah. Wow.
And so, I had never been in that much pain in my life. And if anybody knows about diverticulitis, it is something that I tell my wife, I'm like, I can probably, as close to you giving childbirth, I've probably felt it.
Oof.
Like,
Wow.
it is absolute pain, and like you just feel convulsions and all that. And I remember my boss, I had sent them back to get me some stuff. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. The first week and a half, I was on no food, no water, no nothing. They actually gave me little sponges I could dip in water to put in my mouth, just to keep my mouth wet. Not to even, to drink. Because I had to get the whole infection flushed out of my system. But I had that. The one thing I did ask for was my Bible. And so they brought it for me, and I swear to God, I can't answer because this nurse was an angel or something, because I never saw her again the rest of my time there. But I know they're not the best, but I was doing what I knew. I was in the hospital watching TV, and I had Joyce Myers on. Yeah. And I'm just doing what I knew.
Right.
And she came in and she's like, "Oh, are you a Christian?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm praying God's gonna get me through this. I'm in pain, and I'm just trying to get some sleep. I can't sleep. I'm watching this. And she's like, "Well, I'm a Christian too." And she's like, "Yeah, I'll pray for you. I'll help you." And then she goes, "You know what? Don't tell anybody, but I'm going to give you a little extra medicine for the pain to make you fall asleep."
Huh.
And I'm like, "Okay." And, like, she knocked me out.
Yeah.
Like, nothing didn't go overboard. She just did enough to help me. And I had slept, and I slept all day. And I felt great. And I never had her again for the rest of the time to even say thank you or whatever.
Wow.
And at the time, I never did drugs. I wasn't a heavy drinker or anything, like, so I get a buzz off Tylenol.
That's what I say about Benadryl. I always say if I ever want to, experience what people feel like, getting drunk or on drugs, I just go take a couple Benadryl and see how long I can stay awake.
Exactly. But in the meantime, my boss, they show up a couple days later while I'm in the hospital, attached to machines, fire me.
Oh, wow.
And it was one of those, like, I think it was like, oh, he's using his insurance, so... But I'm sitting there in the middle of Texas, in a hospital, trying to figure out what am I even going to do?
Right.
And at the time, a lot of the ranches, if people don't know, you usually live on the ranch. So you have, like I wasn't just losing a job, I was losing my home, I was losing everything. And, so I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I got released. They let me go back to the ranch to get my stuff. I loaded up my truck. And the day after, I went and got my medication from the pharmacy. And then I went from, it was called Pleasanton, Texas, all the way to Dallas. I couldn't go any further. Like, I physically could not go any further. Stayed at a hotel. Fell asleep, slept. And woke up at like 4 o'clock the next morning. And I went from Dallas, Texas to Cleveland, Ohio.
Whoa.
In like 15 hours.
Whew.
Like, I was like, I gotta get home. I gotta go. I gotta get in. the medication and everything I got, it went right through me. Like, I'd eat a handful of, like, I think I had a thing of Fruit Loops. And if I ate, like, just a small handful of it to keep me going, I had to stop and get a rest stop, like, immediately to go to the bathroom. Like,
wow.
Just the medication I was on, it was just made to get everything to get through me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm like, I gotta get home. I made it to Cleveland, Ohio. I stopped at a rest stop, slept for a couple hours, jumped back in the truck, and went all the way back home. I think it's supposed to be about 31 hours from home to where I was.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it in like 20.
Wow.
Like, just trying to get home. And I know God's hand was on that the whole time. Just get home, just get rested, get safe.
Right.
And I just remember, like, just a few weeks ago, I was high of highs, living my dream life, enjoying my life. And I felt like the biggest loser. Living back with mom and dad, jobless, lost my, and, you know, I'm early 20s. This is when social media's at its height, so I'm obviously bragging about everything I have.
Right.
And all of a sudden, it's just gone.
Wow.
And I'm back home, trying to figure out what I'm going to do.
Right.
I am sitting there one day, kind of feeling sorry for myself. And one Saturday night, my sister goes, "What are you doing tomorrow?" And I'm like, "I don't know." She's like, "All right, dress nice. I'm gonna come pick you up in the morning." And I'm like, "Okay, what are we doing? Someone died?" And she's like, "No, we're gonna go to church."
Hey.
And I'm like, all right, let's go to church. And this is the church that we went to as a child. Like, growing up, we were kind of in and out of the church. We weren't steady churchgoers. We'd go for a few years, and then we'd stop. We'd go for a few years, and then we'd stop. That was another good thing about my dad, is that he always went. My mom really wasn't into going, so she wouldn't go. Which I know is usually the complete opposite of most families. But he would keep going, but he'd never make us go. So it was like, okay, I'm a teenage kid. Am I going to get up early and go to church, or am I going to stay and sleep in?
Right.
I'm going to sleep in. And watching mom, I'm like, oh, she's okay. So I'll sleep in. Well, my sister brought us back to the church. We started going. And it's funny, it's like, we were going together every Sunday for a while. And then I started going Tuesday nights. That's what our midweek service is. Mm-hmm. And then we have a Thursday Bible study. I started going Thursdays.
Cool.
And I started going, and like, it's like, anytime those doors were open, I was there. And I was just plugging it in, like, my pastor now is like, I was just feeding off of and just wanting more.
Yeah.
And as I said, my life started to change, and like, even more so, like, things started to adjust in my life. My mouth was cleaning up. I remember, again, it was just part of what I grew up with. Watching Family Guy and The Simpsons and stuff like that. Like, and I just remember one day, like, and I wasn't going to church long, but I'm like, hey, I put on Family Guy, and I'm like, I don't want to watch this.
Yeah.
This is gross. And I changed the channel. And, like, nobody kind of explains to you, like, the stuff that, like, where to find other stuff right away. Or, like, when you start walking with Christ, how, I know you were talking yesterday about how people, like, try to find new crowds and trying to find this, and it's like, when you're truly walking with Christ, the people you were walking with before, they'll leave you. Mm-hmm. They're not going to try to hang around. They may try to pull you back in, but they're going to leave you, because all of a sudden you're not the same.
You're no fun.
Yeah. But it also, too, they never explain to you that you're, we call them familiar spirits, but how tough your family is on you when you start to walk with Christ. That, like, because they're the first ones anytime you slip up, because they don't realize that, yeah, you may be a Christian, you still have things to work on.
Right.
But they're the first ones, if you slip up, you're like, oh, I thought you were Christian.
Yep.
Oh, I thought you were Christian. Yeah, I thought you were Christian. And it's like, well, I am. I'm trying to figure this out. I'm trying not to do this.
Right.
And it's crazy. And it was funny is, like, when I started coming back, my worst critic was my mother.
Oh, wow.
Like, she did not like me going to the church at all. She didn't like where I was, because I was changing, and the changes in my life, I think it personally made her feel convicted in her life.
Yep.
Being like, yeah, because the whole time, her and my dad still claimed to be Christians, but they were we don't have to go to church, we'll watch it on TV. My wife thought, or my mom thought she was saved because she watched The Passion of Christ every Easter.
Yeah.
or the Ten Commandments.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you gotta go do stuff. You gotta walk. And then, what drove me nuts is, like, because I was watching them, and they were on fire for God when I was a kid. And then it just fizzled out.
Yeah.
And it was like, so that's when I started walking with God, I was like, what happened?
Right.
Like, how can you just, like, feel this and then all of a sudden not want it anymore? But I just kept doing what I was doing, and I remember it vividly because there was one night, me and my mom, we got in a heated debate, and she got mad at me because I was tithing.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, why don't you save that money? Why don't you go get a place? And I'm like, well, that's not mine to save. I can save the rest of it. That's not mine.
Yeah.
And she couldn't get past it. And I'm like, but there's just stuff that we were just going in a different direction. And whether people want to admit it or not, every guy out there is a mama's boy. And to have your mom be in your biggest opposition is tough. And then you circle it around to not having my real dad. So it feels like I was getting rejected by both my parents.
Yeah. Sure.
But the void that was being created, I could feel that Christ was starting to fill that void.
Wow.
We say it every Mother's Day, every Father's Day at church, is that Jesus is the perfect father to the fatherless, and he's the perfect mother to the motherless.
Yeah.
He, like, fits that void perfectly. And so, but as I started attending church more and more, I remember one night, my pastor's wife, him and his wife are a great team. There's something, people got to give pastors' wives more credit. They put up with a lot more than that you think.
Amen.
And they have to fight familiarity off more than anybody.
Yeah.
And, we got a great pastor's wife and team, because my pastor's always saying, like, hey, if it comes from her, it's like it's coming from me. And they're a great team. And it was funny is the couple that I didn't get to experience growing up and watching, I'm seeing in my pastors.
Wow.
And so I started. She sat down with me and she's like, "Hey, we have on Monday nights we do youth ministry. That's 100% our church's call. My pastor's always. Some churches are called to do food pantries. Some churches are called to do this. We work together as a body, but we're called to do youth ministry. We've been very focused. That's my church's ministry the whole time. Our concept is always kids are not the church of tomorrow. They're the kids of the church of today. Yeah. They are God, and God can use them just as much as He can use us. Right. And we used to use our youth ministry as an outreach. We would open up our youth center to the whole city, not just church kids. And Reed hoped that we could reach the kids, teach them about the Bible, and they'd go home and bring it to their parents. Right. And we're starting to see the fruits of that. Not so much in the way our founding pastors thought, but a lot of the kids who went through our youth system are adults now, and they're bringing their families back. Oh, that's cool. And by them coming back, actually, a lot of their parents are coming in as well. Wow. So it might not have been the way God thought, but it's the way our youth ministry worked. And so we were doing that. We were plugging away. We were getting involved. I had met my wife. We had my daughter. We were just doing whatever we were. I'm the, like, whatever my pastor needs, I'm there to do whatever he needs.
Yeah.
It's just, he's done so much for me in my life that it's just so much. And if anybody doesn't know, in Scripture, your pastor is the only person in the Bible that says to give double honor to. And you need to esteem him. And I love my pastor. He's just done so much for me. And the biggest hurdle for me has always been, you gotta look past the man and look past the faults.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has to do that. But now that I can see him and receive him as the gift that he is,
yeah,
it's like I'm flowing in. And it's funny, like, when you're in that zone, like, you could be reading an account in the Bible or thinking of an illustration, and then he'll hit that exact illustration you're thinking of in the next service.
Yeah.
I didn't swap notes with it, I didn't say anything, but he hits exactly what you're thinking of, and you're like, all right, God, you're confirming through the man of God what I was thinking of and praying on.
Mm-hmm.
So we were involved with youth ministry for the longest time. COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
So our church got shut down for a little bit. We never fully shut down. We did online services for a little bit, and then we just complied to the guidelines. But our youth ministry got shut down. So our church, while we have youth ministries on Mondays, we also have corporate prayer in our sanctuary.
Cool.
And so the elders and the other church members are down and praying, and we got youth ministries upstairs. Our church is actually an old factory. If you go by, you would never look at it as a church.
Huh.
And be like, oh, that's a church. But God's used it perfect, because we have 4 floors, but 2.5 of them are dedicated to kids.
Wow.
We have 1 floor that's designated to teenagers, young adults. We have another floor that's still dedicated to just little kids. And then we got our nursery and toddler nursery. Our 4th floor, we got half a basketball court, we got pool table, we got Xboxes for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
My floor, we got all the retro games. We got,
yeah.
like the original Xbox, PS2. We got a Wii, and then a couple basketball games and stuff like that for the kids. But obviously, just keeping the teaching age appropriate.
Right.
And so through COVID, like, there's something my pastor always dealt with was everybody was really involved in helping with youth ministries. But then when he would go down for prayer, there's like 4 people there. And he's like, which we have a good serving church. I think we have over 85% of our churches in health ministry.
Nice.
But he's like, everybody's upstairs helping. We don't have anybody down here to pray. And so through COVID, he was then kind of able to reassign roles and make it so that we could just kind of reassign. So then we got reassigned to children's ministry on our 3rd floor, because our pastor is because again, we did have a lot of worldly kids coming in, a lot of kids from the outside, and my pastor was very adamant he wanted to see couples, kids coming in and seeing a husband and a wife working together, a family, taking care of things, and seeing what happens when there's a mom and a dad together. And so we've been doing that for about 5-6 years now. I work in the sound booth. If there's a project, we'll do all that. My wife, it's so funny. It's like she's become almost like the church mom. She's just so good with the baby. If she's not up on my floor, she's in the nursery, or she's helping with these ladies. She always goes and makes sure there's snacks in the nursery or in our classroom. And we're just so involved doing it. And it's been the best thing in my life.
Wow.
And so that's kind of where we're at now. But kind of like, as I'm walking closer with God, is like, I can see God's hand throughout my life.
Yeah.
My pastor said it, and I feel it. Like, he's always like, he's told me before that I am called at some point. just kind of, whenever God gives the green light, I'll do whatever I'm asked to do. But feel very heavy, like, children's ministry right now.
Yeah.
But I can see where God's kind of protected me from a lot of things growing up. Kind of back to bringing back, growing up without my real dad. But he brought in a father figure immediately.
Yeah.
Like, to not allow me to go through the whole single mom, single whatnot, or feeling that unloved. And then bringing in a man who, he had his issues, but he I always saw him bring us to church, always saw him reading his Bible, and it was enough to kind of increase my life. And I remember growing the church when I was younger, and we used to have a camp up in New Hampshire. It was just a little campground, and we had this camp in New Hampshire, and I remember being there with these kids, and I would re-preach whatever I heard the previous lesson from church.
Yeah.
And I didn't even remember doing that, and God brought that back to my memory, like, I don't know, a year or so ago. Like, you used to do that. You used to go and you just re-preach what you would hear at church. And it was like, when I was younger, I was super shy. It was one of those, I think, that when I was so shy, I wouldn't go up to Sunday school. Like, I'd be afraid kids would make fun of me. But I actually understood what Pastor was saying.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just want to hear Pastor. And then I would take it and I would re-preach what he was preaching to kids.
Wow.
Like my age or whatnot. And so that was kind of like the start of God's like being like, hey, I was here when you were doing this. Back to the hunting thing. I know that sounds random, like a random thing. It's like, I grew up with a family of alcoholics. My biological father was an alcoholic. My grandfather was an alcoholic. My stepfather was an alcoholic.
Wow.
My mother was an alcoholic. My uncle was an alcoholic. All of them, just alcohol. And that's what I grew up in my childhood.
Yeah.
Like, just seeing it and seeing it and seeing it. I grew up listening to country music. You have alcohol in all the songs.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, it's just, I was surrounded by it. But I live in Massachusetts. We're as liberal as you can get. Our gun laws are so strict. And so, growing up, I walked the straight and narrow. Like, I was to the point where I had no interest in going to drink. Or, back when I was a kid, pot was still a felony.
Yeah.
So, like, even when my friends were doing that, I'm like, no, I'm not doing that, because if I lose my guns, I lose hunting.
Yeah.
And so, like, because of hunting, I walked the straight and narrow.
Wow.
Like, and that's where God's kind of like, that, all of a sudden, you just have a passion for it out of nowhere. That was me. And it was like, I was like 12 or 13, right at that age where I'd start hanging out with friends, going out, doing things I probably shouldn't have done. He's like, no, here's a passion for you to keep you away from this stuff. And now I'm not going to deny, like, I have drank. But I did wait till I was 21.
Yeah.
Never got into it, though. And when I was really walking with the Lord, I gave it up.
Yeah.
And I don't miss a lick of it. Like, I think we're pushing 10 years I haven't had a drink.
Nice.
And I don't miss, and yes, in my church we teach that Christians shouldn't drink. I'm more of like, if you're a Christian, why do you want to?
Yeah.
Like, God fills that void, and it's just the debate of, oh, well, you can drink and not get drunk, but well, what's the purpose of drinking if you're not going to get drunk?
Yeah.
It's like, I'll just stick with God.
Yeah.
And in my heart, it's always been, I don't want to be that guy if pastor calls and says, hey, I need you at the hospital, I need you for this, and be like, no, I've had a couple drinks, I can't be there.
Oh, yeah.
Either. And so, to be able to do whatever God's called me to do, or pastor's called me to do, I can do. I could see his hand when I went to Texas, even while I was down there, is just like down there, up here, we have very heavy Catholic area. Very heavy religious.
Mm-hmm.
People are almost more faithful to the building of the church
Mm-hmm.
than the actual Jesus that's supposed to be in the church.
Yeah.
You can't go anywhere in towns up here and not stumble on a church. There's churches everywhere.
Yeah.
But it gets into the mindset. And, like, this whole, it's a very, like, poor mentality here. Like, almost that, like, you need to be poor, you need to be burdened, stuff's gotta cost too much money. And when I went down into Texas, one of the ranch hands, or the manager, he was like a second dad. And he used to always teach me things that, like, kind of steer me away from mindsets I used to have. One of the ones was, I remember we had a nice 3D range on the ranch where we'd go shoot our bows and hang out and just dial them in and have some fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember before I bought my bow, we had a client up there, and he didn't have one, and he's talking to me, and he goes, Joe, do you have a bow? And I'm like, nah, it's too expensive, I can't get into it, I can only afford a certain amount of things.
Yeah.
And then, my boss, he pulled me aside, and he reamed me a new one. He's like, don't let me ever hear you say that you don't have enough money or that costs too much. He's like, if you put the money aside and you're smart and you save, you can do anything.
Yeah.
He's like, you're not going to go out and buy your own island or something like that. But he's like, a bow, he's like, it's $1,000, couple $1,000.
Yeah.
You can have it if you work hard enough. Just go after it.
Yeah.
So don't let me ever hear you say you can't do something because it costs too much money. And that's a mindset that, like, a lot of times my mom put in me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she was always like, if I ever came up with an idea as a kid, she's like, oh, you'll never be able to afford that. You'll never be able to afford. Like, she was just so. It's the almost like a demon of lack or a demon of poverty.
Yeah.
Mindset that she kind of put the mindset in me, like, you'll never be able to afford that. You'll never be able to do this. And it was funny. It's like, I'm like, yeah, you're right to my boss. And a week or so later, one of our guys, he was going to get a new bow, and he's like, hey, this is like brand new. Joe, do you want this one? I'll sell it to you like $500.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, sure. And so, but I asked him, I'm like, hey, can I pay you overtime with it? Just, like, so I don't have to dump all my money or whatever. And he's like, yeah, sure. And, like, because we did a lot of side work on other ranches, too, and we'd get tips.
Oh, nice.
But a lot of times the tips would be, like, $100 bills or whatever.
Right.
And so he would be, within only a few weeks, I'm like, here's the money for the bow. Yeah. And so my boss pulled me aside. He's like, see, you wanted it. You went after it. You're smart. Now you got a bow. Yeah. You put it, you did it. And so he's like, don't let me ever hear you say, you can't. And so, like, living in Texas, it is a way different mindset than the rest of the other part of the country. Like, you got the Texas mindset, and then you got America.
Yeah, we're our own little island down here. It's a whole different world in Texas.
Which I miss it. And it's funny, it's like I pray every day. Not every day, but I pray all the time. Lord, can I go back to Texas? And I get a hard no, I need you where you're at. Yeah. But if he ever gave me the green light, I'd be packed up and I'd be back there in a heartbeat. But so that was it. Coming back to church, my sister being used to bring me back into the church. Mm-hmm. Because she, for a while, she was very close to my mom. And my mom started getting to her. She walked away from church for a long time. But I know that she was being used by God to be like, hey, no, you're going to church. And I had remembered when I was in Texas, I kept on wanting to find a church.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept on saying, I need to find a church like my old church. I gotta find a church like my old church. I gotta find a church like... And it was shortly after, when I got home, he was like, no, you need to be in your church. You know, and we're called, like a lot of people, we're not called to preach, or we're not called to just pick a church where we want to go. We go where God called us. Like, we're called to a church, we're called to a pastor, and anybody out there, there's a pastor out there that needs you, and that you're called to help. And, like, when I finally got that revelation, it's like, okay, I'm finally flowing in things. Like, everything that I thought I was trying to do on my own, it kind of recircled, and I got it back doing it God's way and being under a solid man of God.
Yeah.
At this time as well, like, the lowliness in my heart, it was like it was like trying to fill it with a girlfriend. I was so desperate for a girl. Like, I was at the age, like, I could see my friends pairing off, getting married, all this stuff. I just felt so lonely.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't realize the gap that I felt was meant for the Lord, not for somebody else. But I was on, this was at the hype of it, I was on absolutely every dating app you could possibly think of.
Yeah.
If there was, like, if you like spaghetti and meatballs.com, I would have been on that. Like, whatever would have been needed, I was that desperate for a girl. And it wasn't, like, after any lusting thing or any, like, it was a void in my heart that I felt I needed to fill with a girlfriend. And I remember we do every year on New Year's, for the youth group, we do a lock-in.
Oh, yeah.
We lock the kids in, keep them up all night, don't let them sleep. We die of laughing at 3 a.m. playing apples to apples because it's funnier than it should be.
Yep.
But we're just sitting there and just having but we would do a lock-in. And I remember this was back when phones, you had the data plan. And if you went over, you'd get charged like $15 for every gig you went over.
Right.
And I remember one New Year's Eve, I was supposed to be there fellowshipping with people, helping with the youth, and I spent like, I don't know, $100 on overage gigs trying to talk to people because I was just so lonely.
Wow.
And it was funny, is like, every New Year's, my pastor starts a 21-day fast. We started for the year for the church to grow, the ministry to grow, and then just for God to move in our lives throughout the year. And he's always talking about, like, it doesn't have to be food. We do a sweet bread, so it's just something. He always harps on get rid of social media. But I was like, you know what? I'll get rid of the dating apps. So I deleted them all off my phone. I had the accounts, but they were all on the PC. So I couldn't check them unless I was home and had my laptop on. And so it was working. I wasn't as obsessed with it. It was working. And about a month or so into that, my wife had messaged me on one of the apps. And we started talking. We met late January. We're dating within a couple weeks. That October, we were married.
Wow.
But it was like, God was like, hey, get rid of this. Chase after me more. And what you're believing for, I'm going to fill. I'm going to fill that gap.
Yeah.
And we met, and like, she was a Christian, serving in her church, just very much alongside us. And I remember it because we were dating. She came up and went to my church a couple times, and she had gone back to her church, and she was like, "This doesn't feel like my church anymore. My church is yours." And like, she like already felt it in her spirit, like, no, this is where we are going to serve together. And so we got married. We got married in October. And a week later, my mom died.
Wow.
I'm always grateful. because it could have been a week before, it could have been the week of. At least my mom got to see me get married.
Yeah.
But that time leading up to her death was when she was battling me the most.
Oh, wow.
And fighting me to... And it was one of those... Anybody who's, like, really stepping into church and stepping into a relationship with Christ, we get... sometimes overly zealous.
Yeah.
And, like, we get on this mission of, like, we have to get everybody saved immediately. And we get it, and we're not even polished up ourselves. No one's going to be perfect, but we get to the point where, like, you need to meet this, you need to do this, you need to do this, and it's like, and so I went after my mom hard, being like, hey, you gotta accept the Lord, and like, but she was debating me, and that's what used to drive me nuts. Is like, you used to do this, why aren't you doing it?
Yeah.
Or why are you fighting on me? And I'm like, this is what the Bible says.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, though, and it's actually to the point where, like, I have hopes, but I don't know if my mom made it.
Wow.
And it's the weirdest feeling.
Yeah.
Because losing her was rough, but the week before, according to Scripture, I separated from her, and it was joined to my wife. So that boy, like, that role that was supposed to be hers was now my wife. And so I had that peace knowing, like, hey, I'm married now. Yes, I'm sad. I miss my mom. I miss my wife. Or my mom. But my dad and my sister, they went down a downward spiral.
Oh, no.
They both heavy drinking, partying, and I understand and I don't understand. It's like, I've never lost a spouse, so I don't know that experience. I did experience losing my mom, but again, I wasn't her daughter, so I don't know that relationship between a mom and daughter. Yeah. But that's the power of Christ, is that when something like this happens, you can handle it a different way. You can handle it in a new strength. Yeah. And this was the big, like, turning moment where, like, I started veering away from my earthly family and my worldly family, as I still love them and I pray for them, but I was like, God was starting to replace my earthly family with my church family. Wow. And my pastors and stuff, because we had just redone our sanctuary, and my pastor finally gets a weekend off, and he was doing my wedding. It was my wedding. Oh, okay. So he went and did that. And then he's finally got a weekend off, and then he gets a call that my mom's dead. It was like 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, on a Saturday, when we called and told him. And immediately I'm on my way. Wow. Dropped what he was, which, he came, he showed up, was there, and he was there with me for hours. Yeah. And, like, we had family there. I had my dad, I had my wife, but there was something about having my pastor there. Not only that, but one of my good friends, our associate pastor, he came too. Yeah. But just like, it's like I had my church family there. Right. And it was that defining moment of, like, I'm not just a congregant. And the great thing about a good pastor is, like, that's what a pastor would do. But it's yes, it may be their job, but they never make it feel like it's their job. Yeah. Like, it's like, he act like he wanted to be there. He needed to be there. Which is why, like, I know you and me talk about it all of the time, about how important a local church is. Like, someone on Twitch gets sick, you can't get on a plane and be there in the hospital with them immediately, but a local pastor can. Right. Boom. And we'll pray, but there's something about that, having that man of God there. Yeah. And that church family there. And I was able to recover way faster than my other family. Now, both my dad and sister They've been sober for 5-6 years now. They've kind of, they're walking the straight. My dad's coming to church every Sunday.
Awesome.
My sister lives in South Carolina now. They go to a church there. They're serving. They have a great family.
Nice.
She met a man of God. So God has restored them. And it was kind of also like, when I dialed back, trying to put the pressure of the faith on them and being like, hey, just live your life for Christ. Let them see it.
Mm-hmm.
And that will preach to them and they'll come back.
Mm.
And they started doing it. They started help, and they're involved, and and it unfortunately took my dad, running a stop sign drunk,
no.
T-boning a car, to be like, oh, hey, I gotta stop this.
Yeah.
And it was like, and that was a constant fear of mine growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'd be home from work 10 or 11 o'clock at night, getting ready for work the next day. My parents aren't home because they're out partying, getting drunk.
Mm.
And I'm like, I'm the one waiting for a phone call of, oh, hey, they've been arrested, or they wrapped themselves around the tree.
Right.
And I'm like, it shouldn't be the kids staying up late waiting on the parents.
Right.
And unfortunately, I did get that call with my dad.
Mm.
He was fine. He walked away, only had a couple scratches. But it took that for him to wake up and be like, oh, hey, I need to fix this.
Yeah.
But now he's living sober, he's living good, he's doing good. My sister's doing great. So, like, it's not any shade on them, but it was just stuff that I grew up with, that a road that I could have went down.
Right.
That I never did. And they're living great, they're doing good. And now, like, to kind of wrap it up is that now I'm sitting there. I have a daughter, she's 8 years old. I have a son who's 3. And we're all serving in church together. We're all doing it. Like, there's constant times where my son will be driving and I can hear him re-preaching what I taught in Sunday school the day before. My daughter, she loves the Bible. She can quote verses. And are they perfect? No, they're still kids. And they still make mistakes. But they it's just so amazing out of my 2 kids that, like, I have a son, he loves worship. He's always singing worship songs. Like you said the other day, I had you through the TV, and you're praying for the community, and he was repeating every word you said.
Wow.
Praying along with you.
So cool.
And just, these kids are just so hungry for God, and loving God, and loving their church. And it's actually to the point where, like, if for some reason one of us is sick, or whatever, and we're like, hey, we're going to stay home for the night, they rebuke us. Like, no, we got to go to church.
Yeah.
Let's go. That's where your healing is. That's where you need to go. Let's go to church.
Yeah.
Like, they'll be like, hey, skip work, go to church to heal up, and let's go to church to get the healing.
Wow.
And I'm like, all right. Or they'll be, like, at night we'll lay down, we'll pray. We do our normal prayers, but then we all take a turn praying for our pastor. And if we don't pray, if one of us doesn't pray for our pastor, my son, he immediately, hey, you didn't pray for pastor. You gotta pray for pastor. I'm like, just, it's in their heart. And just, like, it's funny is, like, this is just recently, but recently holding my son at worship. Like, we always go up to the altar, because a lot of times, like, that's where I want to be.
Yeah.
I try to get as close to the altar as I possibly can.
Yeah.
No distractions. I'm not watching people play Candy Crush or whatever they're doing in the church. I'm getting as close as I can to be like, hey, I'm here for God.
Yeah.
But also, too, like, we get a lot of our youth watching us. Being like, hey, there's a man of God, there's a woman of God, a family, and they're at the altar.
Yeah.
And it's the same with my kids. It's not an option. Like, they're not staying at the seat. You come up with us.
Yeah.
We're worshiping together.
Right.
And it's funny is, like, if you ever watch our streams or watch us, there's a spot right by the pulpit, right in dead center of the altar, right at the altar. And that's always my daughter's spot. She's always there. She's worshiping. She gets right up there. And it's like, everybody knows that's her spot.
Yeah.
She's there. She's worshiping. But I'll hold my son and, like, I can hear him singing along. And, like, the Lord's been arresting my heart lately, like, that fatherless feeling that you had, he's never going to have.
Wow. Yeah.
He's like, that fear of you wrapping yourself around the tree of being drunk, he's never going to have. He's never going to see you passed out drunk from the kitchen table. He's never going to see you get in a raging, drunk state because you drank too much. He's never going to see that.
Yeah.
And he's like, because of me, I was able to break those chains off of you. And that was like the one good lesson my daughter always, or my mom always taught me. Like, she wasn't the best, but she always taught me what people say about you isn't who you are. You make your own choices. Like, no one can force you to do anything. You make your own choices.
Yeah.
And that was the only, like, this went back to, in chemistry in high school, I had a teacher who said, he's like, I guarantee every person, whatever grade they get in the beginning of the year, by the end of the year, they drop a letter grade because this class is so hard. And she was like, you don't have to fall for that. You do the opposite. And at the time, she's like, I'll give you $20 by the end of the year if you get, and I did it.
Nice.
But that was like the one thing in my life where I was like, just because I grew up in a family of alcoholics doesn't give me a right to be an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't force the drink to my lip.
Right.
Just because I grew up without my dad doesn't give me an excuse to take off on my kids.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta still make my choices. But it's that humbling moment that when I'm holding God or holding my kids, and we're at the altar, and we're worshiping, and we're just serving the God as a family, as a team. Because anybody who doesn't know, when you're in ministry all the time, your kids sacrifice a lot.
Yeah.
My kids, they watch kids talk to my wife, that if they talk to it, they wouldn't be able to sit for a week.
Yep.
But we have to give them grace and be like, hey, you learn from this. You don't do this. You don't do that. You show them love.
Yeah.
But our kids never let it faze them. Like, they're just as excited as we are to go to church. And it's easy to burn out kids as part of ministry because they're there all the time. They're there when the doors are not open. They're there for it. Like, the other day, my wife, she's in the worship team. They were there for worship practice. Yep. They're there all night. And then they were there till they got home at like 9, 10 o'clock, wake up in the morning, and then they're right back there for service.
Yeah,
I mean, we're at church almost more than we are our own house. But the kids love it. Our favorite thing is, we got the little, we do like the little pre-made, communion cups and stuff like that. So we get those, but we got these little receptacles we put on the chairs so that people can put them in at the end. That's one of the kids' favorite things, to go pick those up at the end of the communion service. Or go dump the trash out, and it's awesome to see that my kids have a hunger to want to serve in God's house and do something. Yeah. And it's just, as I sit there and I look back, I can see where God the whole time has been like, all right, I can see where he kept me away from things that could have kept me going down the path of my family. Right. But also giving me things to help start stepping into a call that I had that I didn't know, or I guess spiritually I was fighting most of my early years and being like, and finally I'm like, okay, God, what you want me to do, I'm going to do. Yeah. And it's kind of where I feel like I'm being directed. My pastor kind of confirmed it. Is like, down the road, I would like to do something where I use the outdoors to help other kids, to help bring them to the Lord. Yeah. Because I'm like, if that's what was used for me, and something that I learned a lot early in my Christian walk was like, you have a talent or an ability or a passion for something, and you're not using it to grow the kingdom, you're being selfish. use what you know, use what you can. Don't go I don't need to go and learn astrophysicists or be anything like that to try to feed for them, or I don't need to go try to do. God's given me the perfect gifts when I need it to help these people.
Yeah.
And it's funny is that I'm just able to use my passions, and it's all funny how it started with a hunting video game.
Yeah.
That put me on this path. And so if you guys don't know the game I play the most is the Hunter Call of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not lying when I say there has not been a game in years that's come out and I'm like, ooh, I really want that game. Because I'll download a game, I'll buy a game, and I just default and click Call of the Wild when I load up my phone. I only got a couple hours, I play the same game. Because if I'm not shooting real deer, I want to go shoot pixelated deer.
Right.
And that's all I wanted. And it's like, God's given me this passion, use it to help grow his kingdom.
Right.
So that's kind of my testimony. And my only thing with other people is I just want to encourage anybody who's thinking of maybe giving a testimony that hasn't. Just don't think you have to have this out of the box or this amazing light show of a testimony.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one of our pastor's friends, he was always jealous because other people, they recovered from drugs, they recovered from this, were in gangs and all this, and his testimony was always, he was always like, I don't have an exciting testimony. And God dealt with him because you didn't go down that path, that's a testimony.
Yeah.
So even if you haven't done anything crazy in your life, but God spared you, that's a testimony, and it's something to share with others.
Yeah.
And don't be ashamed to tell people about what God's doing in your life. Because we can quote chapter and verse to the world as much as we can, but your testimony will preach louder than anything else that anybody else has to say. Because especially those, like I said earlier, that your family's going to be your biggest critics and your biggest, most of them are watching, you got two groups of people. You got people watching you, hoping you fail, and you go back to your own life. But you got people who are secretly watching you and hoping it works out and it's real because they want it to be real.
Yeah.
And just keep fighting away and don't give up on God and allow Him to work in you, give you the way to do it, and you don't realize who's watching you and who's encouraged by you. And that even if you make a mistake, they're watching how you respond to those mistakes and want to see if you'll quit or keep going. And they're watching. There's people watching you more than you think. And there's a church out there that needs you. They'll help you through everything.
Yeah.
You bet.
Man, wow. Dude, thank you for sharing. That's, like you said, we don't be ashamed to share your story. We've all got different stories, and it's so cool to hear just all the parts of your life and the way that God has worked through them from, little things that seemed like just random at the time, the hunting and animals and whatever, and how that was like replacing a passion and then, filling this void and that void and whatever, and keeping you from certain things, and then to see the way that God has led you in leading your family. So you're like, if you were to just, zoom out and you could see your childhood, that family situation and dynamic, and then see your current family situation as a dad at the same time, you can just see how different those really are, and how, the things that affected you as a kid, you're not letting those affect your kids, and they're going to have a very different story when they look back on, well, my dad, he was, we were always in church and we were always praying for our pastors and this and that, and I've always loved the Lord. They're going to have, they may have one of those boring testimonies, but praise God for that. That's awesome, because they're not going to have to go through so many of the things that you did. Because you're genuinely following after the Lord and leading your family well, and I'm proud of you, man. That's awesome, and praise God for all of it. Yeah, wow. Well, thank you for joining and being willing to share. And I'll post this over on YouTube later. I'll edit it and whatever and all that. But thank you so much, and dude, keep it up. Love you. Appreciate you. And yeah, keep being awesome, man.
Awesome. Thank you so much for this.
You're welcome. Talk to you later. Wow. Okay. Man. Well, if you're watching this later on YouTube, like and subscribe. You can also find all of the other Testimony Tuesdays that we've done. There's several videos. Starts with my story, and then there's been several other members of the Twitch live stream community who have shared. So check out some of those stories too. It's always cool to hear the things that God has done and is doing in people's lives. And like the book of Revelation talks about, they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. There is power in your story. So be willing to share. And if you would like to share, reach out to me. Let me know. We'll figure it out. We'll make it happen. But yeah, man, that was awesome. That was awesome. Yeah, so powerful. So powerful. Oh, what? That's not even what it's supposed to look like. It's on the wrong thing. There we go. That's what I thought you were looking at the whole time. Yeah, whatever.